Hi there, it's Kevin with Deckbuilder.com here with a little bit of an update of the channel and a little bit of an announcement for a Q&A if you want to know more detail about what is going on. I will be holding a Q&A tomorrow, Sunday, at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on YouTube. So come and join me if you have any specific questions for what I'm going to be talking about. I apologize if you hear some audio or if the audio syncs off. I'm at the store and I don't have everything set up here on this computer to record perfect like I do at home. So anyway, thought I'd get this out there because I didn't have time this morning. As many of you know, if you follow my Twitter or my Facebook, I released an announcement. We'll just look at the announcement real quick here. This was in news that I'm being let go by Gathering Magic. So you can go ahead and check this link out. I'll have it in the description below to both my Facebook page or my Twitter. I highly suggest you follow those two if you want more real-time interaction with me or know what's going on. It's just an easier way for me to publish things on a day-to-day basis there on Twitter or on Facebook. So I've been, after 4.5 years, let go from Gathering Magic. They did give me basically the most generic response. I think they just want to take a better direction. But, you know, we all know what this is about. And I'm going to be 100% transparent about all of this going on in the Q&A. But I'm not going to get into this particular video. I just want to tell everyone, let everyone know that I've been here before. This is nothing new. I'm very good at taking or being being an outcast, I guess is the best way to put it. And I guess it's just a little bit of a story time. I know a lot of people don't like my story times. They like it when I just stick to magic. But this one's a pretty good story time to let you know, to kind of help you understand where I'm coming from, where I've been in my life. I've talked about it before, but I'm going to be full transparent here now, right now on the channel. Many of you know I live in Utah. And so usually when people say that they live in Utah, there's always this association with the LDS Church or the Mormon Church. And I too was raised Utah. In fact, my town is, I would say, about 95% of the people here in my small little town adhere to the Mormon faith. And so one of the things that Mormons are really known for is their community building. And it's everything around here revolves around the church. So growing up, Mondays, you had family night, which had a very big church thing. Of course, Sundays, you went to church. And church in the Mormon church is a lot more grueling, I would call it. I don't know exactly the phrase I'd use, but you go to church for 3 hours on Sunday, and then you're expected to do other things as well, like we call it home teaching, where people you're given people to go visit, and there's a lot of other church services that happen on Sunday. Monday, you're supposed to set aside time with your family to just practice your faith on Monday night. They call it, you know, family home evening. And then usually on Tuesdays, we'd have a thing called what we called mutual, which is where all of when you're in your teens, everyone would get together for an activity. And then there was also scouts that had a huge church element to it. So a lot of my Saturdays and throughout the week would be also dedicated to religious functions. So the church, by saying that the church is really, really involved in the community here or in everyone's life is an understatement. It is life here in Utah. There's very little disconnecting yourself from the church and life. So I grew up as a Mormon. My family, both my parents were Mormon. Both my grandparents are Mormon as well. And almost everyone in my extended family is Mormon. So I grew up, I've always said I've kind of been agnostic growing up. And I did just go along with the culture here. And when it comes 19, it's a little bit younger now, it's 18 now, but when you're 19 years old, you're expected to go on what they call a mission. And for 2 years, you leave your family, you leave your friends, and you don't get to choose where you go, you don't get to choose who you go with. They send you on a mission. And I went to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania on my mission. And it was there that I started questioning my faith. And it's also where I spiraled out of control into depression, because I came to the conclusion that I did not believe and I was stuck on this mission. And a little bit about especially a small little community, if you leave your church, you are a social outcast. And people will argue with me all they want here in this community, but it's like a death sentence here as far as your social status. Prior to that, I've had a few friends come home for their mission, and even my family would kind of question that they couldn't hack it, or what was wrong with this person, that they were leaving their mission early. And it's kind of a stereotype in the Mormon church too, that if you leave the church, you're a sinner. That's the only reason anyone would want to leave this, or you're weak. So no one wants to be weak-willed, or they don't want to be a sinner. So I was stuck on my mission. And like I said, when I said I was depression was awful. Another thing about it is I grew up here in Richfield, Utah. We are considered, it's what's called a rain shadow. That means all the storms go around us, and we have one of the highest concentration of sunny days in the United States. There's very few cloudy or rainy days here. We're kind of in a desert. And being moved from here to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania was also like a shock on my system. I had been diagnosed of having seasonal affective disorder, very, very low vitamin D conversion, which is usually that's what happens when people that suffer from seasonal affective disorder. Has to do a lot of it with the vitamin D or absorption or whatever it goes on there. And so there's also the physical depression that came along with it. And so it was just like the perfect scenario to lead me into like a spiraling out of control, just depression. It came to the point where I was suicidal. I'd rather die than be called weak-willed or a sinner and go home early. Until about, I often talk about my story about a person I met on my mission that changed my entire view on life. He was an old crazy person, and if he could be happy, why can't I be happy? I'll talk about that story sometime. It's a great story, and it 100% did change my life and my outlook on life. But I still didn't want to put my family through the shame of having their son come home early on a mission. So I stuck it out and stuck it out and stuck it out. And finally, I had picked up a guitar. There was a guitar someone was throwing away, and I picked it up and fixed it up. And I decided, well, as long as I'm out here on my mission that I didn't want to do, I'm going to at least learn something. And so I thought I'd just pick up the guitar on my free time, and at least I could come home knowing how to play guitar. And so it was the one thing I kind of live for, is coming home. Also, you got to research LDS missions. They are very grueling. It's door to door. It's like being a door-to-door salesman. You go and knock on doors all day long, and you're expected that every activity you do should be trying to convert people. So you can see how that's just a horrible situation for someone that wants to leave their faith and can't. It was miserable experience. Everyone in our church always likes to call their mission the best 2 years of their life. It was hands down the worst 2 years of my life, and I can say that in all honesty. All the other nonsense I've been through, it was worse than I always talk about the relationship I was in, where you can go back to some of my videos on that. It was worse than those years. Anyways, it was like 17 months down the road of the 24-month calling. I'd been outed by some other missionaries that I had a guitar, and guitars were strictly against the rule. In fact, there's a thing called the White Handbook that you have to adhere by a bunch of rules in the White Handbook, and one of them says no musical instruments. You're not supposed to bring along anything worldly. You're not supposed to read magazines or books or listen to music or have musical instruments. And so I had a guitar, and they outed me for it, and my mission president gave me an ultimatum: send the guitar home or send me home. And finally I called his bluff. I'm like, no one in the history of this has ever been sent home for a guitar. And I called his bluff, and to his credit, he gave me about 3 weeks. And finally on that 3 weeks, I got a phone call, and he said, pack your bags, you're going home. And so I was sent home for my mission. And it was funny because they danced around the issue. They gave me what's called an honorable release, which is the biggest joke ever, because I know why I was sent home. It was a dishonorable, and it's kind of the same thing that's going on right now. We all know why. I know why I'm a mission president. Know why. Everyone that knows why knew that it was because I was being disobedient or rebellious, as why I was getting sent home. But they kind of didn't want the drama, so they gave me an honorable medical release, because again, at the very first of my mission, I did have some big time problems with depression and the seasonal affective disorder. But it all been cleared up by then, and I was actually my mental health was sound at that point. I'd come to terms with who I was as a person. Still, of course, didn't want to bring that shame on my family. So I was sent home, and I tried to play along with the still being a Mormon, but I completely lost the faith at that point. Saw the hypocrisy of the leadership. And I wanted out, but again, I didn't want to bring that shame on my family. So I just played along and played along. But meanwhile, my community was trying to rally around me, and they were so afraid that I was going to leave because of what had happened to me on my mission. And it was almost the smothering of them that even pushed me even further, until finally one day I'm like, I have to tell the truth. I have to let everyone know I don't want to be a part of this religion anymore. And when I came out, is what we like to call it, a lot of us ex-Mormons like to call it, of course, the response from my friends and family was not supportive. I received some pretty scathing letters from my grandparents, who have since passed away. I received some very scathing letters from other people in the community. I know I lost job opportunities. There was a girl that wrote me her entire mission, that I was sort of dating at the time, that then told me when I finally, we've been on 2 or 3 dates, and I finally one day we were on a date, and I had said, I have to come clean with you. If you're expecting this return missionary, this good return missionary, like, a lot of girls in this community do, I'm not that. I'm not going to be adhering to the LDS faith, and I should be open and honest with you. And after I told her that, she wanted nothing to do with me, and we completely stopped seeing each other, and that was that. I've had like cousins and other parents of kids that I was friends with tell their kids not to associate with me, not to be around me, because I was a bad influence. And all at this time, I don't think I had actually acted rebellious. And what that ends up doing is it pushes a person to full-scale rebellion. And I remember that was a big turning point in my life. Mormons don't drink. Mormons don't have premarital sex. Mormons don't have a lot of things they live a very clean life, is what they said. So I was just like, screw it at this point. Got into, I wouldn't say got into drugs or anything like that, but started hanging out with the crowd that would accept me. And I have tons of stories from that era of my life that are quite, that's why I want to start the second channel. Yeah, let's just say that I started hanging around people that accepted me. But it's almost like that's why I made friends with them, is because they were the only ones that would accept me. And it's funny because I even say that nowadays, like, I consider myself an ex-Mormon, because I found that community to be just as dogmatic as the Mormon church. There's things you have to adhere to if you want to stay part of the group. And I just got tired of the nonsense that happened in that group as well. And I'm just okay at this point of being me. And so I just wanted to share this story, but this has happened before. I am always going to, no matter what, stick up for what I believe in, because it doesn't serve you any purpose by just faking it, to just try to. I know I've had people that are higher up in the community than I am, that have more followers, more subscribers, thank me for having these stances that I've had, or at least being the kind of the middle grounder, the person that will stick up for what's going on right now in the MGG community. And they thank me because they're too afraid to. And I don't want to be that person. I know it doesn't lead to anything good. I wouldn't be able to respect myself. I wouldn't be able to look myself in the mirror knowing that I sided with something that I don't agree with. So I played I held firm. I held my ground this time. Again, I'll answer everything the question Q&A if I'm directed those questions. If not, I'll just let it go. But I felt like I've held my ground this last couple weeks. I did start those tweets with the Manosaurus and Tulane Community College just because I wanted to call out their hypocrisy of throwing stones when they were not innocent in all of this whatsoever. There has been a lot of back and forth throughout the MTG YouTuber community for the past years going on. And when I saw those tweets about how they were just innocent victims, I just couldn't help myself and had to speak out. So I know this is where all this stemmed from. I was warned to not associate myself with certain people, and I continued to associate myself with those people because, again, I'm not going to be judged. I don't feel like I should be punished for being friendly or agreeing even with people in this community, or just people that are considered to be outcasts or toxic, or all these buzzwords that people will say. This has been going on for a long time. When I created the More Hostility in the Magic the Gathering community video, I got a lot of backlash from that, and a lot of sponsors, potential sponsors from then, from early on, refused to have anything to do with me. Some collaborations were ruined. Again, I will name specifics in the Q&A for this video. For this purpose, this video, I'm not going to get into it. And again, it's something that I'm pretty well weathered in this sort of thing, and I'm going to continue to just be me. Speaking of like the bad relationship, I had to go to therapy for it just to wrap my mind around what was happening. And in my therapist's office, there was a quote that said something to the effect of, "I am my own architect." So, you know, people don't define me, I define myself. And that's something I've kind of lived by. And yeah, it happens. There's times you'll lose opportunities if you don't just go with the flow or go with the whatever the norm is at the time. But to me, it's something that you have to stay to your principles or your values. I'm not going to let the ethics or the morals of the crowd dictate who I am as a person. So I don't think I've crossed any line. In fact, I joke with everyone, or not joke. It's just been so tiresome this entire week. I've had so many private messages and so many people like accusing me of stuff when I have to just sit back and say, what does this have to do with me? Just because that I remain neutral or I don't condemn someone doesn't mean that I 100% condone everything that's happened, nor does it mean I hold those positions. And what does it do with me? What does it have to do with me? What does this have to do with me? But apparently that's not good enough for what's happening right now. And there's going to be a huge, I don't think that we've seen the end of this. It's going to go for full circle. I mean, eventually, if you want to start judging people for their connections and who they like or who they follow on Twitter or who they choose to collaborate with, we're going to go full circle to where everyone is guilty by association. And this is something I wanted to avoid. I put my foot down early and said, I'm not going to be told that I can't collaborate with a certain person or can't talk to a certain person or can't retweet or like a tweet or whatever I'm being, punished for or accused of doing. That has nothing to do with my stances or me as a person, and I shouldn't be. I give everyone the exact same courtesy. I know that I can find, if I were to look at people's pasts or who they follow or who they tend to be friendly with, I know I can find people on their list that I find just as distasteful or more distasteful than they do about people that I follow. So again, if you want to know specifics, come to the Q&A at 3 p.m. Tomorrow. So going forward, though, again, I am very weathered in this. Do not worry about me. I'm just fine. I've actually had better offers now of what I was getting paid at Gathering Magic. So big shout out. I'll be announcing those if I decide to take that route or not, or if I just want to stay independent. And I've been wanting to start my own media outlet for quite some time, or not just my own. I wanted to collaborate with a lot of other people in the community that want to start something that benefits more of the creators rather than benefits kind of the large stores that have the money or the capital to sponsor creators. There's a reason why Star City Games and Channel Fireball and Gathering Magic hire content creators. It's because it's profitable. And so if it is profitable for them, there's got to be another outlet where it's more profitable for the creators. And so I'm trying to make some good alliances with people. I definitely want to come in contact with like web developers, people that want to manage a web page or manage content, very similar to what sites like, all the big sites I just named, like Gathering Magic, where it's just a one-stop shop for Magic the Gathering content from your favorite community people that actually benefits these people in the community. They get paid a higher percentage for their work. So that's something I've been wanting to do for a long time, but I think that this might just be the push that gets the ball rolling. Something about me, I am one of the most complacent, lazy people. When everything's hunky-dory, when I don't have any trials in my life, it's not a very good motivator to change the status quo. So that you can see that roguedeckbuilder.com has been so stagnant for forever. It's because it's just like something I didn't need. And maybe this will give me the motivation to just have that drive again. I think that's had... these past couple of days, this past whole week has been really trying for me, just because I've been literally putting out fires around every corner with people, trying to keep friendships with some people that are very, very emotional at this time. I completely understand why they're emotional. And again, just trying to defend friends, trying to defend myself, trying to again, put out fires in this community that I think is just beyond the point that it's just so ridiculous. So be looking forward to that, though. If you want to help in like a budding community, there is definitely some slots. I want to get more back to collaborating more with actual, you know, people that maybe a lot of startup channels and things like that. I want to help you get going and rebuild another community. I hate to say alternative community because I can't stand the word alt anymore since it's been so compromised. But, you know, all the people that we've been told, you know, won't have anything to do with the main outlets anymore. I want to give them a voice and a home. So I don't know. Now I'm on to rambling. I'll try to cover everything more in the Q&A, and that'll be tomorrow at 3, and I'll probably come down to the store and do that as well. And then after that, I have a meeting with a web developer. Many of you may know Greg, and I need to get like Mara back on things, and we need to finish that Rogue Deck Builder. They've done so much work behind the scenes, and I feel bad for not following through and finishing it. So I don't know if you have any experience in like web design or management, like managing a community before. It's one of those things right now that, of course, the capital is not there to actually pay people, but people that actually do want to be involved in something. I have some ideas to bounce off people. So if you're doing that, just shoot me an email. Maybe we can talk and see what we can get going. So just wanted, again, now that I've rambled forever, just to say I am fine. I will be fine without this. It is very disappointing. I believe I was the longest standing content creator there. That's what I've been told before. And I've also told that, you know, that one of the reasons why Gathering Magic liked me so much was because my decks actually sold cards. The one time they had me out to eat, and they were talking about, you know, any pro can throw out a tier 1 list and play it as a video series, that every other channel, a Star City Games, is going to show the exact same list. Channel Fireball, TCG Player, they're all going to do a list. Everyone's going to show video after video of how to, you know, play Teamer Energy or Ramming Up Red. Whereas the decks that I built actually were unique and sold cards. So it doesn't make any sense to me. There's, of course, again, I was given a very generic email, just that they want to change their, you know, what they're doing with their videos, and they let a few other people go as well besides me. But the timing, of course, yeah, you can draw the lines of exactly what was going on, and no hard feelings to them. You know, 4.5 years of paying the same person, that's some commitment, and I appreciate Gathering Magic for everything that they've done. I'm not going to, you know, go off on a spout against them or tell you not to. Or tell you to unsubscribe. Don't unsubscribe. That's Rich's channel, by the way. If you unsubscribe from Rich, that just hurts Rich. Even though they have the Gathering Magic brand on it, that's his channel. He's the one that built that up. And I really feel bad. I think he should be the content producer over at... That's what kind of got me the most, is I've never corresponded with the person that sent me an email in my life, and nor have I ever corresponded with Evan Irwin. And I know that their fingerprints are all over this. I know they're the ones that called the shots here. And the real hard workers over at Gathering Magic, they just don't get the credit they deserve. And people like Rich, he's just been so much behind the scenes for so little credit. And I hope it gets picked up by some real talent, like by a bigger like a bigger channel or a bigger outlet in Magic the Gathering, because I just think that he's worth way more than what what Gathering Magic wants to give him credit for. So huge shout out to Rich. I hope I don't put him in any hot water saying this sort of stuff. This is just my opinion for working with the dude for as long as I have. And he's become a great friend. I know that's some of the tension is probably too, because I know he was really good friends with people also that he feels got attacked in the community, and I can see his point. And this is what I was saying. Everything's gonna go full circle though. If we all start, you know, punishing each other for who we choose to have friendships with and whatnot, it's just going to lead to all of us hating everyone, and I don't want to see that happen. So anyway, cheers to everyone. We're gonna get through this. We're gonna have an awesome Q&A tomorrow. We'll have some fun. Maybe we'll get some other people on. Maybe we'll play some games. It's all up to you. Whatever you guys want to do. I'll be on for at least a couple hours. And so if you have any questions for me, send them to my Twitter or my Facebook. Just try to put I don't use hashtags, but I'll try to read your questions. I know I've already received some on Twitter and some on Facebook, but yeah, anything goes. I'm a free agent now. I don't have to worry about anything. It's perfectly, like I said in my post, it's here at the end here, I can truly it is time to really go rogue. And so I plan on doing that. Appreciate everyone for sticking with me. If if you're ever upset with something I've said or something I've did, please come talk to me rather than just, make assumptions. So that's how the world changes, is by listening to other people's points of view and responding with your friends, your fans, your colleagues, everything like that. So appreciate everyone. I'll see you tomorrow for the Q&A.